Hello, this is Derek Fournier with the Plainside Strategy Group, and today's topic is going to be rocking the boat. It's really about talking about change. If you see in the blog post above, there's a quote from one of my favorite movies, The Karate Kid, about committing to something. And that's really the sort of message that Miyagi's trying to tell Daniel-san about karate. Either he karate does or he karate doesn't. And in life, that is very much the case. And in business, especially, when you're making changes, you need to commit to change or commit not to change. So when you come into an organization or you come into a problem, if we take it down to a sort of a microcosm level, when you're going to try and make changes to alter your current state, there are two primary ways you can do it. You can use evolutionary changes, small incremental changes over time, which will create hopefully an effect over a longer duration. Or you can make evolutionary changes where you go in there and you make significant fundamental alterations to the way you go about your business in an attempt to accelerate that timeline, because quite often time is your critical resource. You don't have the time to wait for the evolutionary changes. You've got to make these changes now. Now, I happen to be a fan of using both when it's appropriate. Sounds like an obvious, right? Trivially true, as my friend Rick used to say. But one of the things I see people fail at when they're making the evolutionary approaches, and sometimes you're going to use a little bit of each. It's almost like situational leadership. It's not you have to choose one direction and only go that direction. But when you're making those big evolutionary changes, build your plan or your wireframe and make part of it the education of the teams involved. And I mean everyone, not just your directs or your extended team, but everyone in the organization. Make them aware that change brings discomfort. And sometimes the changes you make are going to be wrong. Right? There's no harm in that. I used to have a saying when I coached basketball, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right? You've got to attempt things to determine if it can better your condition. The big risk that I see people taking here is that when they try and make these changes and they encounter any sort of resistance, then they immediately back off and they retreat back to only evolutionary changes or no changes at all. They lock things down. And that does not engender support. That does not encourage your team to get behind you as you make these changes, because I will assume, for argument's sake, that the changes you're trying to make are an attempt to make things better. So, what I'm going to tell you to do is, when you're going to try and make an evolutionary change in your organization, build your wireframe, build your strategy, architect your tactics with feedback from everyone in your organization, right? Get that feedback. And then as you're making the changes, make sure they realize it's okay if some of them don't work. You have a mitigation strategy, but continue to push forward. Because if you retreat back, lock down, lock budgets, all you're going to do is create a morale issue and a confidence issue, which will compound your other problems. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think about change in your organization. Have you experienced these sorts of things in your organization where someone has come in and made some sweeping changes, gotten hit in the nose, sort of bully style, and then just retreated immediately? What has that done to you guys in your particular business? Thanks for listening.